Hello and welcome to UC Today. My name is Christopher Carey and today's session is all about the metaverse. Following recent job cuts, everyone is asking the same question. Is the dream dead or can anything still be salvaged? To unpack this, I'm joined by technology evangelist Kevin O'Donovan. Kevin, great to have you with us today. I guess the most obvious place to start off with is what happened?
Well, I suppose metaverse means many things to many people, and obviously, since Meta changed their name back 3 years ago, it has been closely tied with metaverse equals what Facebook turned into. And I fundamentally, for years, have been saying, well, that's not what's going on. So certainly, I give credit to Meta in terms of what they have done with some of the enabling technologies, with the headsets, with VR games, and. But if you go back, it's a bit like AI today when you go, we're using AI. So the question then is, well, what kind of AI? What are you using it for? It means so many things to so many people. And, basically the metaverse, in my opinion, was we were trying to merge the real world with digital worlds. And if you look what's going on in industry today, in manufacturing, in automotive, in the energy industry, right across energy, we have never had such a pace of change where we're getting the physical world meeting the digital world. And what I mean by that is, look, everybody's talking about we've got a digital twin that allows us to model and redesign and whatever. And it's not just a nice 3D model. I use physics-based simulation tools to actually game out whether I'm designing a piece of metal, I'm designing an entire city. I can simulate everything. And then I build something and I get all the IoT data and I push that back into the model. So I start kind of closing that loop because I see what's happening. I feed that back into the design methodologies, whatever you want to call it. And I can start making things better. Now, how I interact with that, whether I'm looking at it on a 2D screen or I have the latest and greatest XR, I have an augmented reality headset, or I have a VR headset. That's up for debate. People can do that. But that's not gone away. Now, whether you call that, that is what the metaverse is. Because again, the metaverse is all about a persistent, interconnected network of what I would call digital twins. And that's what's being built in industry. Now, what's going on in the consumer land is slightly different. But, let's face it, right? When metaverse came out and it became the buzzword at CES that year, everything was in the metaverse. And we have the usual, the hype cycle, right? Where this is going to be the best thing since sliced bread. And then 2 years later, people go, well, not everyone's wearing a VR headset. And we probably never will. So yeah, hype of expectations, but don't rule out the underlying technologies and look at what's going on in industry. It's stronger today than it ever has been.
I guess, so looking at the actual, from the commercial side, do you think it was ever a viable business idea, or was there a sense that it was a vanity project in some ways?
I can't speak for Meta, but obviously they went all in and when they changed their name and then whatever. And in some ways that was good and bad, right? A, it brought it up to everybody was talking about the metaverse. But then B, it was also associated with Meta and Facebook. And in many circles, that's a good thing and a bad thing, right? So a lot of industries going, hang on a second, I need a Facebook account to log into the metaverse. Not doing that. So look, whatever, they spent billions of dollars. I think a lot of what they've done has benefited the industry. It's kind of the raising all boats in terms of they created competition. Look at the amount of other companies that are out there. And in industry, you have pros like Pico, you have Varo, we now have the whole Android XR and some of the Samsung stuff that they're doing with their VR headsets. So they spurred competition. But I do think there was a bit of a hype cycle is one word. A lot of people lost the run themselves that suddenly we'll all be walking around VR headsets and it's going to be a gazillion dollar business in the morning. That was never going to happen. But the fundamental technologies underneath, digital twins, simulation. Look at what NVIDIA are up to with Omniverse and all of their AI models and foundational models. And if somebody wants to go, well, where does this thing? If you see any of the autonomous vehicles that are driving around the world today, they were all designed on a computer model. They're all simulated in a digital twin. They're getting real-time data, feeding it back in, blah, blah, blah. So if you want to see the best example of what's going on today in the world around combining the real and the digital worlds, look at what they've done with autonomous vehicles. Now we're starting to see that with humanoids, robotics, yada, 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 yada. Now, granted, you're not driving around in your car with your VR headset on, but the underlying technology is that's where the game is on right now. Look at all the announcements, even at CES, from the likes of NVIDIA, Siemens, Yokogawa, Schneider Electric. You pick any of the industrial players. It's the only game in town.
And I guess looking at it from a UC standpoint, the question that I've seen pop up is, why would companies want to invest in virtual offices and this kind of virtual world when Teams and Zoom already work?
They were a novelty. And obviously we were coming out of COVID, and look, we've seen the whole thing with even Teams and Zoom are kind of going back, people go back to the office and whatever. And we're still, human nature hasn't changed that much in the last 5 years, where we still need people-to-people connection. Certainly in COVID, where you couldn't go into the office, people were looking for better ways. And there are companies today using design teams, and look at what Sony are doing with their immersive engineering, where we have a distributed team around the world. We're designing a new, God knows what, a factory, a ship, a product, and we can come together on a Teams meeting, on a Zooms meeting, but we can also go into a 3D world and walk around inside it with our avatars or whatever, to kind of get a sense of the spatial awareness of what it's going to look like. Oh, I don't like that, we need to move that, or that's too narrow, I can't get through there, or whatever. So that does happen, but it's very limited use cases. And what I mean by limited, it's not like 15 million people are doing it. You've seen with Meta's announcement last week that their Horizon Workrooms, which was kind of aimed at that, has kind of dropped off. And also those experiences, like I've been messing around in virtual worlds, whatever, 8-9 years. They weren't frictionless. They were hard to use, right? And you had executives going into meetings, and then you're saying, well, just teleport over there. And they go, what the hell is teleport? So some of that stuff was kind of, that's interesting, but that's never going to be a real life use case. What is interesting, and again, it's niche, but in the oil and gas industry or the energy industry where I do a lot of work, you're seeing people kind of doing, well, we need to do trainings, we need to do design reviews. So we're having 8-10 people come into a VR room to go through a training or go through a walkthrough of an oil platform or a gas platform or a sort of ship or a something for virtual commissioning. Now, does that mean everyone's sitting at home using it themselves? No, but again, it's not gone away. But again, we're all going to be in Ready Player One in 2 years' time. Like, that was never going to happen. And I'm on record with you guys saying that 5 years ago.
Mm. And I guess, what concrete lessons should UC vendors take from the metaverse? I don't want to say failure, but I guess you could use that word. But from this, like, what lessons need to be learned before companies chase another metaverse moment?
Well, I think there was a bit of over-optimism in terms of some of the technologies, and not necessarily, when the metaverse kicked off in all hype, the whole thing around generative AI wasn't the thing. And now we've seen generative AI come in, and we've seen people vibe coding, creating virtual worlds, virtual games, and you talk about simulation and making robots better, generative AI for training the robot models, synthetic data, yada, 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 yada. All of that stuff has exploded in the past 2 or 3 years. But I think the fundamental technology piece that didn't live up to expectations was the actual, let's say, VR headsets. Now, what Apple did with the Vision Pro, what Meta did, Varo, and whatever. The technology is incredible, but it's hard. It's hard for anyone to wear one of those things for more than 30 minutes, an hour. You know, you're not going to live in one of those. And of course, the promise was that, well, they're going to get much smaller and whatever. And at CES this year, there was another 10 companies that I'd never heard of. Here's a new version, and it's smaller and lighter and better battery life, and that. So the technology, the lenses and all that stuff will keep getting better. But I think there was this thing that, and I used to always argue against it, that, well, the metaverse has to be in VR. And I was like, no. It's about tying all together, all those digital twins. The buzzword now is a digital thread. You now have all the standards, OpenUSD, OPC UA, unified namespace, for tying those data silos together to be able to create that kind of uber digital twin. And then you have all the simulation models, physics-based simulation. So look at what Siemens are doing, look what NVIDIA are doing, and you can do all of that in there. But again, it's back to, how do I then consume that data? Do I look at it on a 2D monitor like we're doing here and spin around the model? So it's a 3D model, but I'm looking at 2D. Do I start using augmented reality? And like, if you had said to me 2 years ago, well, the Meta Ray-Bans are going to be such a success, I'd be like, don't think so, because there's no visual component. But it's an AI glasses. I talk to it, and what am I looking at, and take a picture and whatever. There must have been 50 companies with their version of AI glasses at CES 2 weeks ago. So that's coming down the line. So in 5 years' time, when we're all wearing our glasses and we have a built-in AI, whatever, what am I looking at? Will we then turn around and say, oh, geez, the metaverse isn't dead, right? We're in it. I don't know. But I think there was a overselling of some of the technologies, and that was a bit unrealistic. But again, I'll go back to software layers, what AI has done, digital twins, simulation. You know, just look at any industry today. Everything is done digitally. You know, I used to call the metaverse digitalization on steroids. And that's not slowing down.
So looking ahead, how much of the original metaverse vision is actually still salvageable?
If you go off and Google or ask your whatever AI of choice, give me a definition for the metaverse, it'll probably come back with 50 of them, because everyone had a different one over the last couple of years, and it's still evolving. Even you ask 10 people, what's a digital twin? You get 11 answers from 10 people. So I think it's simply the technology will keep changing. As I said, when Metaverse came out, generative AI wasn't a thing. So we were never going to, you look back 5 years ago, and when people were talking about the Metaverse, they were never talking about, and we'll have generative AI that will do all this stuff for you. So that's a complete curveball, and that has accelerated everything to do with simulation, everything to do with synthetic data, training models, whatever. And I'm not talking about the large language models that are used for just documents and text. I'm talking about foundational models like NVIDIA have done for the grid with EPRI in the US, all the robotic models, Isaac Sim, yada, 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 yada. All of those things have evolved and come at pace. I do think we'll see more immersive technologies. There are companies out there today working on contact lenses. So instead of having the big headset, it's XR. It's kind of an augmented reality, but it's built into a contact lens. Now, is that technology ready for prime time? Good God, no. It's probably years away. But in 5-10 years' time, how we consume data will be very different to the way we consume data today. Like mouse and keyboard might be gone. It might all be glasses and virtual screens and. But I suppose one of the other challenges back in the day when Metaverse was kicking off, they were like, well, I have a VR headset. I want to consume. I want to see what my factory looked like last Friday. And then someone said, well, we don't have a model of that. We'll go create one. So we'll go off and we'll do a reality capture and we'll build it in our own virtual world. And then we'll come back and we'll give it to you and blah, blah. And that took 6 months. And by the time they came back and said, here you go, And people say, well, it's a bit cartoony. Oh, and by the way, it's out of date because we changed half the stuff 3 months ago. So, yeah, that didn't work. One thing I will give credit to AI for in every company is you keep hearing people saying, well, in order for us to take advantage of AI, we have to break down all the data silos in our company, the design data, the operation data, the CRM, blah, blah, blah. We have to join it all together. We have to use standards to be able to get the data to talk to each other. And suddenly you're kind of going, I now have multiple digital twins. And if I hit return, I can see what the factory looked like last Friday. Now I can put on a headset and what I'm looking at is up to date. Now, that doesn't get away from the fact that do I need better headsets? Is it socially acceptable? Blah, blah, blah. But a lot of the infrastructure that you need to be able to consume the data, that's all getting built out. So I think if we do start to see many more of us using augmented reality or what you call AI glasses and whatever, you know, the metaverse will be alive and well.
I think that's a great place to leave it. Thanks for joining us today, Kevin. If you liked this video, please give us a like and a share on social media, and we'll see you next time. I've been Christopher Carey for UC Today. Thanks for watching.